Hey everybody, thanks for joining me. So I got the microphone a little bit close today because I have the heater on. It's less than 0 Celsius in here this morning. It's 26 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know what that is. Negative 10 Celsius maybe. I'm not really sure, but I will tell you it's cold. How's that? So I got the heater on and it's a little loud, and I tried to bring the gain down on the microphone, which means I have to move it closer just so it'll pick up my voice and hopefully keep down on a lot of the ambient noise, even though, I'm in a metal shed with wood walls, so there's not a whole lot of sound uh, dampening I can do. Not to mention that the heater and the air conditioner, which is a mini split, is right above these monitors right here, and it's blowing right at me. I didn't have any other place to put it out here, so unfortunately we got to deal with it. All right, so way back is back. Thanks, Greg, for coming back. And the first one up he wants to listen to is how Australia ships 1 million tons of iron ore daily. So hey, it ought to be interesting. Wayback always brings us good, interesting documentaries, and this one's pretty short in comparison to a lot of them. So let's just get into the intro and then right into the video. So here we go, y'all.
Without steel, we don't have modern society, and without iron, we don't have steel. And this is part 2 of a series explaining how we produce this valuable commodity thanks to the help of Rio Tinto. But if these Pilbara mines are so remote that a majority of the workforce must fly in and out, then how do they transport the hundreds of millions of tons of iron ore produced in this region to the worldwide market? Well, Rio Tinto not only owns and operates massive fleets of mining trucks and excavators, but also an enormous rail and export network to control the entire supply chain. So with that, let's start at the rail operations. With a network of 1,900 kilometers of rail, Rio doesn't just have a lot of locomotives and cars, but they also have a lot of rail. This is where they take these sections of steel rail they get in 25-meter sections. They pick it up from this stockyard here, and then they send it into this building where they do the flash butt welding. All right, let's flash some butts.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
So from there, conveyor system brings it in, 3-wire brushes. This will clean the top surfaces and the front edges.
So again, because we're passing electricity through to do our welding, we need to get rid of any of the surface rust, mill scale, anything like that. So that's just the pre-cleaner.
Okay.
Goes out here, comes around, and then basically does a U-turn. This is the welder itself. Part of what we do.
This is the flash butt welding machine. What's happening here is they're taking the 25-meter sections that we saw from the outside. They're running an electrical current through each side, 2 sections, and they're shoving them together to join these sections and create one consistent piece of rail. You don't weld them traditionally because that could create a failure point. While this doesn't achieve 100% strength, it gets to about 80% strength. They will do this a few times over to create a 400-meter section of rail, and then they'll put those on rail cars, load them out, and ship them all over the network. 220 of these diesel strength. It gets to about 80%.
So I just said all that with my mute on. It's first thing in the morning, y'all. So what I was saying is, I guess because, he said, did he say 45 meters, 145 meters? I can't remember now. I think it was, anyway, I think it came out to like 1,200 feet, which is a long piece of track. And I guess when they put it on the train on these rail cars, that track is more pliable. So if the train is going, curves, let me get over here, then that track probably bends with it, and then once they straighten it back out, I'm just speculating because I don't know. And like I was saying when I was muted, is that it's amazing to me that this is a mining company, yet they have this big rail division too, and that ore, the profits from the ore that they're mining has to also pay for this part too. So yeah, it's very interesting to me. All this type of stuff mechanically, I'm really interested in.
Percent strength. They will do this a few times over to create a 400-meter section of rail, and then they'll put those on rail cars, load them out, and ship them all over the network. We've done the fine tuning. Now we have 27 cranes right in front of us, pick up 4 rails at a time. Each are 400 meters, so that's 1.6 kilometers of rail per lift, and they put it onto this specially designed flatbed rail car that will then be shipped out to somewhere in the middle of nowhere. Somewhere in the middle of nowhere. Since we were at a train yard, we obviously had to take a train ride. We hopped aboard one of their locomotives for a short trip back to the shop.
Where have you been? We're just running all over. We flew in this morning from Perth, so.
All right, so be busy.
Since then, we've been running around. Yeah, we were at one of the mines yesterday, and now we're here.
Up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've actually never been in a locomotive before, so this is very exciting.
Yeah.
I feel like a 6-year-old.
Welcome.
Yeah, this is great. This is one of 3 locomotives in a row that typically makes up a iron ore train. All of these are autonomous, so they have drivers like Ewan behind me to move them around the yard, to move them through the network as needed, or if they get hung up on something. But ultimately, through the entire Pilbara, these trains are operated from the remote operation center out of Perth, many, 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 many hundreds of kilometers away. I don't know what I thought a locomotive would be like. I am the captain now. Time to try out the party button. That is so cool. That is everything 6-year-old me ever wanted.
It's pretty cool sometimes, right?
A fun thing about trains is that they work in tandem with one another. So we're at the head of 3 locomotives, but he's controlling all 3 of them with that one set of controls. So one person technically can run an entire train of multiple locomotives from one set of controls. And that concludes our choo-choo ride. This is where Rio Tinto services their locomotives. They have over 220 of these diesel locomotives. Each train, each iron ore train, has 240 cars, 3 of these locomotives. locomotives moving about 30,000 tons of iron ore at a time. 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 30,000 tons of iron If you have a few hundred locomotives running around Western Australia non-stop, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, there's a lot of servicing, a lot of fuel, a lot of greasing, a lot of maintenance that goes into keeping these up, and this is where Rio does it all just outside of Karratha. So every few hours, locomotives are in and out of here. Every 48 hours, the locomotives typically need service, fueling, grease, whatever it may be, checking those fluids. So these locomotives are in and out of here. This facility runs 24 hours a day. It never stops because the iron ore never stops moving.
The rail operation is essential as it connects the mines to the coast. But then what? Well, we hopped in the car and drove about an hour to find out.
Part 2 of today, we've driven about 45 minutes. We are now at Rio Tinto's Cape Lambert facility, and this is where they take the iron ore out of the rail cars and put it on ships to sail the high seas. That is the Indian Ocean out there, and it goes around the world. So we're about to dig into this process and see how they do it. So first step in the process, how do they unload these iron ore trains? Let's go find out. That right there under that steel cover is the rail dumper. This is an iron ore train, 240 cars like we discussed before, about 30,000 tons in this train. What's happening inside of there is it's clamping onto 2 cars at a time and spinning them over, dumping them into a hopper below, which is then feeding a conveyor that's headed to the next part of the process. This entire train can be unloaded in about 180 minutes, which is less than 1 minute per car. The train never comes undone. Every other car, it can spin on an axis, so that dumper, it spins the entire 2 cars on that same axis in line with the rest of the train, allowing everything to stay coupled together. We've dumped. It's traveled by conveyor to here. The conveyor system is insane around here. It's a maze. There's 150 conveyors ranging from 6 meters to 3.5 kilometers long, which is a lot of conveyor. Now we're putting it into stockpiles. That is the end of this conveyor. That's the stacker. It's stacking them up into these piles, about 6 trains to every pile. There's about 200,000 tons in a full pile, and they have the ability to have about 28 piles of different materials on this site at any one time. Now we start to get into the maybe trickier bit. This is the iron ore, and that right there is one of the many reclaimers that they have on site. That is picking up the iron ore from different stockpiles and mixing it as needed to load the trains. There's 17 mines providing iron ore to this one facility, and they need to get it to the exact specification the customer requires. So you're getting all different types of iron ore from all different mines, and now you have to mix it into the perfect ingredients, so to speak, that the customer needs for that eventual steel product. That's what's happening here. They're able to pull from different stockpiles to make the perfect blend that eventually ends up on the ship.
Correction. Rio Tinto blends ore from their various mines, resulting in the correct blend within these stockpiles.
Now, as the coal, wrong material, as the iron ore gets transported through the train system and through the stacking system and through all of these conveyors, it grinds against itself, making a lot of fines. They don't want those fines for this premium Pilbara blend product. So after it goes through this reclaimer onto a conveyor, it runs through another screening process to get rid of any fines before it goes to the final step in the process, and that's the ship loading. This is crazy. this entire operation, the ship loading. There's 2 wharfs coming off of Cape Lambert, CLA Wharf and CLB Wharf. This is CLA Wharf. It is 3.5 kilometers out into the Indian Ocean. You can have 4 bulk carrier ships pull up at a time. There's 4 ship loaders, and they can be loading 4 ships every 24-hour period, each ship taking that entire 24 hours to load. This ship right here will take about 180,000 tons of iron ore once it's done, and then we'll take it and head to the steel mill in countries abroad to make stuff like this, what we're standing on right now, the steel the world needs.
That is how Rio Tinto takes iron ore from all over the Pilbara, transports it by rail across WA, loads it onto ships at Cape Lambert, and gets it to all over the world from there. Thank you to the Rio Tinto team for having us out on a weekend. Nonetheless, I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did. I loved it. If you did like it, please subscribe for more videos like this coming soon. We'll see you next time. Stay dirty.
Stay dirty, y'all. All right. So, first of all, man, let me just say that is one hell of a operation. And, yeah, he had to correct himself a lot of times, but I get the gist of it. They can load 4 ships every 24 hours using those wharfs. Now, I'm a little confused. I think there's only 2 of those loaders per wharf, I think. And but it takes 24 hours to fill up a ship, and they do that all day long at 24 hours a day. That is crazy, man. That's a big operation, but steel is a big commodity worldwide. And like you said, so that they're shipped to these other countries. You add iron in, and you get steel, and that is the strength that is needed to build, the infrastructure of the world. And so it ought to be a pretty profitable enterprise down there. He called it Peterborough or something like that. I'm not sure. That might be the location of where it's at. Anyway, thanks, Greg. Thanks, everybody, for sticking this out. If you're still here, I appreciate it. I thought it was pretty cool, and I hope you all did too. All right, that's going to do it for me. Till I see y'all again, I'll catch you down the road. Bye, y'all.